I wish you health. I am currently near the Kiev office of the Debs company. And now I will tell you a very interesting story from my life, related specifically to this company. So, how did I make the first connection with the company Debs? It was in 2006. I visited my aunt. At that time, her husband was involved in running his own computer club. And he showed me that there is such a thing as satellite internet. At that moment, I can tell you, it was something incredible. At that time, I was using dial-up. Well, everything. Unless the older generation remembers when they used a regular landline phone. A regular modem was connected to this landline phone. The internet was very slow. It took about 10-15 minutes to download one song. And then he showed me his satellite internet. The internet access was asymmetric, with the incoming channel being received through the satellite dish, while the transmission channel was still via a landline through the telephone network. But still, it was a cool thing back then. I wanted something like that for myself. In order to set up this internet at home, it was necessary to purchase a satellite dish as well as a SkyStar 2 card. This card was PCI. It was inserted into the system unit slot of the computer, allowing for the reception of television broadcasts from satellites, and, in addition, access to the internet. The internet rates were also incredible back then. They were $10 to $20 a month at that time, which was quite a large sum. I took the first step. I bought a satellite dish and a satellite converter. I have never set this up. And it was time to buy this SkyStar 2 card. I went to a store that sold equipment for satellite television. This card was on sale, and at that time its price was 500 hryvnias. At that time, I was earning per month working at the plant. As an installer, I earned approximately 1100, 1200. I can tell you that I earned about 60 hryvnias a day, which is very important. Instead of remembering this number, then, this guy suggested to me that the SkyStar 2 card is sold in Kyiv, and its price there is 400 hryvnias. And it was from the company Debs. I calculated the ticket at that time. Kryvyi Rih to Kyiv cost me 22 hryvnias by the boat. Well, I decided that it was still more beneficial to come to Kyiv for this card and to see and stroll around the city for a day. Moreover, at that time, there was neither Nova Poshta nor tracking numbers with Ukrposhta. Therefore, sending this card, which cost 400 hryvnias, equivalent to $80, was a very risky endeavor. I decided to come to the Debs company to purchase this card. I arrived here and bought this card. I set up everything on this card, both television broadcasts and satellite internet. And this was the beginning, the first step in my profession as a satellite television installer. This purchase played a significant role in establishing me as a specialist in this field. However, an interesting nuance arose during the setup of this system. I mounted the satellite dish myself, but I couldn't configure it to the satellite because the SkyStar 2 card took a very long time to lock onto the signal. If I were a beginner, I could still set up the satellite using the card now. But back then, it was impossible. I did not have a satellite tuner, and there were no special devices for tuning to the satellite in 2006 either. Therefore, I decided to turn to the specialists for help. At that time, I understood very little about everything. I was asking. I started looking for a technician, and then one company offered me a specialist just to climb onto the roof and set up the antenna for 100 hryvnias. At that time, I earned about 60 hryvnias for a day at the plant, working 8 hours. I searched for alternative options for a long time. I found a person. I even remember his name. Oleg. I found Oleg, and he agreed to set up my antenna for 60 hryvnias. He came to my place, set up the antenna in 15 minutes, and took 60 hryvnias, which is the amount I earn in a whole day at the plant. At that moment, I started to think that maybe it makes sense to pursue this professionally. And that was the start of my career in satellite television. Then I switched from satellite television to security systems, but the first step was indeed taken back then, in 2006. when I purchased this card. And so, after 18 years, I visited the DEPS company again, specifically the headquarters. Here, I attended a 3-day training on the construction and technical operation of fiber optic communication lines. I received a certificate, and now I know a bit more about communication. They taught me how to work with optics and some interesting nuances, so now I can perform communication tasks a bit more effectively.